to a very special edition of Wax Tracks to the Max, like totally, for WUSB FM, which is on Long Island out of SUNY Stony Brook. So, what do you want to talk about first? The cruise, the tour, or the album?
Oh, not guilty of any of it. Anything. I'm happy to talk about anything, really. The album, I think the album is now officially out, the live album, but it's being treated like a studio album. It got top of the Amazon charts, and it's gone to number 25 in the charts back home, so it's done better than some of my studio albums. It always amazes me as to why some things take off and some things merely escape. But it's nice to know that some of it sticks. It's always nice to know, because life is always flat out, as you know. And so, but the circumstances surrounding these various brain children vary greatly. So you've got all these variables, and I think that, you know, I just make a noise for a living, like I always do.
I did see that when I did my homework. I was like, how humble. 25 solo albums?
Yeah, well, you know, there's always a song there, you know, and I still love music, so it's the air that I breathe and a number of my pals, so that's what we do, that keeps us going.
So I watched a couple of the tracks, particularly El Nino, and I recognized a couple of people right away. I know who they are. You want to tell my listeners who they are?
Roger King on that, who started out. Gary O'Toole on drums, Nick Beggs on bass.
Beggsy.
Yes, that's right. Rob Townsend on the blown stuff, but he's also doing drums on pads, so we have two drummers on that, reel and the pads. Yeah, so it's an instrumental, El Nino.
I was blown away.
Did you like that one? Well,
I really do.
It's a fun one. It's good on the record, on the night side, and the original record. It's on the surround sound mix of that is great. That was the idea of being in the centre, the eye of the storm, with it all going on around you. So it's a very brave surround sound mix. Live is something else.
Some of my listeners wanted to know if you planned on working with Nick in the future, particularly with Steve Wilson.
Well, I've worked with both Nick and I've worked with Steve Wilson. You know, sometimes in the context of my band, and sometimes it's been their own projects in their own lives. So I think, you know, as lifelong friends, I would be surprised if we didn't do things in the future. But what's tended to happen recently is that Nick does a year with me, and then he does a year with the other Steve, Mr. Wilson. And it seems to go in rotation. Meanwhile, the new guy that I've got on bass, his name is Jonas Reingold, another Swedish guy, and he's absolutely
I was kind of hoping
wonderful.
that Beggsy was coming as part of Life Size.
I know, we all want to see his legs, I know.
For you guys who haven't seen him in a kilt, it is something to behold.
His wonderful thighs and calves, but Jonas has the chops that like none other. It's extraordinary. I've heard him play bass on a bass and plays so fast doing jazz. He's unbelievable virtuoso, fantastic.
I've loved Nick since his Kajagoogoo days. In fact, I have a VHS.
I think this lady is a Nick fan. Did you get that?
No, I just was surprised how many great collaborations you've put through, because
I'll have it washed and sent round to your tent immediately.
And doing my homework, and most people know that you've worked with Chris Squire.
Chris Squire, yes, the late great Chris Squire, extraordinary, man extraordinary, yeah.
So, I don't know how much time we have left, but can you give us a little hint as to what's going to be happening with the John Wetton tribute?
Oh, well, as far as I know, with the John Wetton tribute, we are, the thing that Martin mentioned to me, I believe it's a Q&A on the boat. I don't know whether Carl would be playing stuff. My involvement in it was just, I was asked if I would just be there to speak about, you know, how fond I was of John, which I figure, and most people know, but I'm always happy to say it again, it's a big part of things that's missing. In fact, you've mentioned in quick succession two dear departed friends, Chris Squire, John Wenton. The last time we did the boat, they were on stage with me for the first time, and we were doing it all along the Watchtower. So that's a very happy memory. It's on YouTube somewhere. Somebody shot it, and you know, that's a one and only.
I talk about John Wetton on my show all the time.
Yeah, and rightly so. Yeah.
In fact, when I met Carl for the very first time, I had my Asia album in my bag, and he walked right into the lobby at the Pat Bergen show.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that everybody knew who it was right away. And I was like, oh, like I didn't want to let the opportunity pass by because I had never actually seen Asia play live because of my age. I might be the youngest progger on the boat. I'm not 100% sure on that, but in junior high school, I didn't know I was a progger. Right. I knew I was the girl who loved Saga, Asia, Rush, Genesis, of course, you know, Peter Gabriel, and it wasn't until I was much older that people were like, you're a progger. I'm like, what's that?
I think that when this stuff was, you know, we can now talk about it as prototype prog, but at the time when we were all doing that, when we were all in our 20s and kicking off with this stuff, we didn't realise that either. We didn't realise that it would be called that. You know, it was a wave of British bands that wanted to mix genres. So you had the pan-genre, lots of styles approach, songs that could be either 3 minutes or even the shortest song of Genesis, I think, is 90 seconds, which I wrote, and followed by the longest song, which is Supper's Ready, which I'll be playing live on my jaunt. Yeah, we didn't realise it was that, and maybe that's what it is. I think that people think that the progressive stuff has got to have a mellotron and a Hammond organ, and that's what defines prog, but it doesn't have to have those things. Those things crop up, sure, you know, those very characterful instruments, but it's about so much more than that. I think it was about the element of surprise and about honouring a whole pantheon of musical gods, whatever style they presided over.
I just know that there was a point in time where all of a sudden something sounded different. And I was only 12 years old. I was like, whatever that is, that's going to be with me forever.
Well, you know, the magic is always coming from someone else. When I was growing up, I was listening to the magic of Roy Orbison and the Everleys, and Bach and Segovia, and then a whole slew of guitarists, all of whom were absolutely brilliant, who seemed to be based, at least loosely, around London. I mean, at one point I saw a show at the Savile Theatre, which had been owned by the Beatles manager Brian Epstein, and I saw John Mayer and Mick Taylor for the first time, followed by Jeff Beck with Rod Stewart, followed by Cream. I mean, all afternoon concerts, you know, on Saturday afternoon. It was extraordinary that you could get that level of talent and all those, you know, people that were extraordinarily influential. And another week you might see Jimi Hendrix and the Beatles would be up in the box. You know, that's how defining I think that era was at London. You know, at that time. You know, round about. God, what year was it? Was it 67? Was it 68? It's that sort of time, you know, when I was a young whippersnapper.
How do you feel that your name comes up as having influenced Alex Lifeson?
It's very nice when people acknowledge the influence. I think, you know, I've heard a tremendous amount of you know, people who are phenomenal players and singers and writers who say kind things. Difficult to know where to start and stop. I remember in 1973, here we are in New York City, I remember Genesis, we were all about 23 years old in 73, and we couldn't get a gig anywhere. We were literally here, and then we were going to go straight over to the West Coast to play at the Roxy in LA, and John Lennon gave an interview and said we were one of the bands that he was listening to. Couldn't get a gig, didn't have Twitter, couldn't use that information at that time. Who believed that? But you know, the wheels ran slower. If you wanted to conquer people and audiences, you had to play to them in the flesh. It was a pre-video age. Radio was kind of in and out. College radio, if you were lucky. Not too many outlets other than the stage, which is probably the most honest of all of these platforms, really.
Thank God for live music. Thank God for Cruise to the Edge. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And you want to give a little shout out to New York that they should come down and see you in February?
Well, indeed, yes. You're talking about the one in
the St. George Theatre. I'm not sure. It's very new.
Right.
I mean, it's old, but it's new. It's been redone.
Right. That's it. Now the date is, looking at my...
February the 15th.
15th. I thought it was the 15th. That's good. Okay, so on February the 15th, Staten Island, St. George's Theatre, which you say is very new. I've never played it before.
It's been redone. It's an antique theatre. Carl Palmer has already played there, and Tom Rogren.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah. It was actually part of a PBS special if you want to catch it at some time.
Marvellous. That sounds,
all right, so
really
thank
great.
you so much. And I know you got to run, so we appreciate your time. And we're going to see you in a couple of days anyway, so.
We will all be on the boat, in the same boat, soon
Literally.
enough. That's right, yes. We will.
My son wants me to say, literally, a boatload of poor rock stars.
That's right. You're practicing your I will practice my Brooklyn accent. I will get a cup of coffee. You'll be doing the British thing. So.
Yes. So, live from New York, it is Tuesday, I think.
Okay.
But thank you so much.
Thank you.
Alrighty.